So when it comes to matchmaking work, we may think that it's easy as just put two profiles together, uh, get them, have them, if they have any affinities, if they have anything in common, what they do have in difference, what different from one profile is to other profile, what they have in common from one profile to the other profile. It sounds easy like that, but it's not that easy. In Southeast Asia, how it works is that there are dating agencies, matchmaking agencies. It's called themselves. It's a legitimate business that is thriving. That is trending. Is trending more and more and more. As more men, especially men, don't want to, go to the bar, go to expose themselves to, public scrutiny. Go to the bar, you know who you're getting, and all the risk involved in any situation where people are drinking, people are, they don't know exactly who they want to meet at a bar, or at a restaurant, or even on the streets. You don't know who you're meeting. So most of the matchmaking agencies in Southeast Asia, whether this is Thailand or Vietnam, Philippines, Cambodia, they really cater to recruit. They very much interested in recruiting Western men, whether it is from Spain, Canada, the United States, and other European countries. And what they do, it's a legitimate business. If there is a need for something, and if there is a demand for something, of course, there's a business to be made, of course. And just like any other business, matchmaking is thriving, like I said before. And how they advertise, legally, there's good advertisement for that. And then there are many men, especially Western men, demand. As dating has become more complicated in Western world, in the United States also, more complicated, definitely, as everything is, as the years are going by, life is complicated. Life is getting more complicated with technology, with family values going low, going south. I mean, people wants to get that person that is gonna really, be on your side, 100% on your side. So that's what most men, Western men, do. Contract, hire an agency. Which they do is like in places like Cebu, the Bohol, Manila, doing Dumaguete, many matchmaking agencies. They have the recruiting, the matchmaking events where they meet. They have the females who are local women, typically in the from the age of 18 to 35. All these beautiful young women are looking for Western men. That's very much, that's how they, of course, they become members of this for free. In the case of the female, they just have to get their pictures. They have to, get themselves, make themselves available, dressed properly, and have their profile, their profile, that like the biography of each one of them. um, you know, uh, Give it to, have the right, get the right, they have to sign a paper, of course, a document in which they give the rights to the matchmaking agency to show this to prospective husbands, which, like I said before, Western men, wealthy, and most of them, very much, financially wealthy. And how they do, well, they local hotel, they rent a place, of course. After these Western men pay a membership fee for services, for this service, right? To what is these services that they offer local women, right? They offer, doesn't it's not a meat market or anything like that, or fashion show. It makes it look like a, meetup, like a social event at a restaurant, at a hotel, in which, the women will parade, will come and have a little talk. They take a microphone and they will say, what they're looking for, what kind of men. And all these men, like 100 or 150 of them at a particular event, are sitting at tables, like at dinner tables, and looking at these beautiful women come one by one, take a microphone, and talk to them and express how what they want to express, why are what they're looking for, what kind of man they're looking for, and who they are, and what kind of person each one of them they are, even their education level, what kind of, if they have children, they can describe, they can tell these men, right, all sitting on the table, like uh, and then they tell them all about their lives, what kind of wife, future wife they can be. So these girls are, of course, they have to show the best possible first impression to these men. That's how matchmaking agencies work, dating agencies they call themselves, which are, they pay the taxes. No, don't get me wrong, these are legitimate business. And all these men coming from Western society, Canada, US, and Europe, Australia, even some Asian, South Koreans, Chinese, they have their own legitimate right to find that girl that can be their future wife. Why not, right? Now, how this happens, if you compare to what's in China, in a recent event in China, and we have to compare these two type of events. There was an event in China, I think it's the province of Shanghai, which in this case in China there are 110 million single women, 110 million single women, and approximately over 90 million of single men. Because this is China has a population of 1.5 billion people and counting. Of course, that's the latest census, but it's counting. Maybe could be more. This only if you count people who live in mainland China, and a recent event where 2,000 women, single women, participated, and it was a meetup event, like for, so these single women were looking for men. This is the opposite now. Apparently, in China, what happens is that there's a scarcity. There's a lack of men. There needs more men, of course. There are more women, single women, than single men. So for women, especially if they are over 30 years old, which in the local trade they call them the leftover women. After in China, if you're a woman single, and after you reach after 30 years old, if you are 31, 32, you've been called like the leftover woman. So all these women, some of them executive with good jobs, working at the bank. Look at some of them even business owners. Some of them, of course, from more humble beginnings, but very much college. Out of these 2,000 women, more than half of them were college-educated women, single. And what happens here is the opposite now. Is the women who are paying to these to be able to have the right to participate on these events, to be able to go to this place and have the single men in China or from anywhere, I mean, if you are single and you are French or Spaniard or British, right, or Canadian, I mean, you can fly into these events for free in this case, because the women who are looking for the men to find a husband. So it's the opposite. But very much, I mean, the Philippines is Asian culture. China also, they are part of the same Oriental culture, but of course they are diverse. There is a diverse way of saying things. There's seeing how they see, how they see the match, making event, how they see the future, how to, for single men or women, how to look for that special mate, that significant other that can be with you for life. So what happens in China, what's happening in China and in other places, is like that is the women who pay, right, a matchmaking company, like matchmaking agency, to become a member and look for that special man. And at this event, they paid. Like they showed up. They came to the event. 2,000 women, single, beautiful also. But what happens here was what did happen in that event just 2 weeks ago is that none of the men came, even though for the men they were supposed to come for free. None, you had to pay a dime to be able to come and talk to these women. So they will, the way they do is that one by one, they the women are the ones sitting now, and the men should be coming and tell the story, because it's the women who are looking for a husband in this case. The in this case, and all they were expecting at least 5,000 men, and nobody came. No, none of these guys, single guys in China, came. But the reason now is different. The reason why this is happening is different, because most of these guys, single guys, didn't come because they weren't able to, show that financially they can sustain, they can have, they can, arrange for a marriage, because the marriage arrangement in China is different. If they have to be able to pay some money, right, to the family, they have to be able to have a good job, right? There are some requirements. I mean, they have to have like an apartment. They have to show, financially, they're okay financially, the men. And apparently, there was not enough men, single men, who are able to show that they are financially stable. That was the most important, most important item, most important condition, that the men had to show that they were financially able to sustain, to be able to marry that single woman, and be able to, place them, take them to a place where they can afford to play. And the other thing is that most single men in China, I mean, they have, of course, who are able to have good, to be able to have a stable job, and to be able to have their own apartment. They're all married. I mean, most of these men, they're already married. They already found their match. They're already, in a stable relationship. So there is a little, like a dry, dry situation in which they need more men to come, single men to come to these events. That in the case of in Philippines, there were more men. There were with like 200 at an event, a matchmaking event, and the men are the one who are paying for the event. I mean, they're paying for the, to rent the place at the hotel. They're paying to be a monthly fee, a membership fee, to be able to, and all the way the ticket from coming from Canada or the United States. We're talking about thousands of dollars to be able to participate in one of these events. Over $5,000, $5,000 to $6,000, and the women were the one who weren't, there weren't like 200 women for these Filipino event, but only maybe 30 prospective single girls that wanted to meet those Western men. And of course, in this case too, the men, coming from Western country, of course, they have to be able to pay that kind of money. Guys, if they can pay $5,000 to $6,000 to a matchmaking agency, of course they have the means. These people are business owners, they have good executive jobs. But in the case of China, nobody came because there weren't any single man financially able or stable to be able to meet these girls. And the effect is that if there were, like I said, more than half of these women in China were college educated. And what if these guys comes, right? The single men available that came, they have not even passed the middle school. So you have college educated women in the thousands looking for a single man. So there is, disparity. There's not even, male female ratio. So that's what happens, the opposite in China. So when you think about, how has become in your recent year, how, things are evolving in the dating, world. Of course, online dating, of course, online dating is always an option, but there's so many scams. I mean, so many people putting profiles on Facebook and all these social media outlets in which you don't know who you're getting, and sometimes it's not real. I mean, there are so many scams, so many bad outcomes from meeting people overseas, especially, if you're gonna go all the way to Southeast Asia and waste years of sometimes communicating with that person. And when you came to the airport, there's nobody there at the airport waiting for you. Or when you meet the person finally, right, maybe the person is already married. or in the Philippines case, right? How you find out, guys? If you haven't never had set foot on the Philippines, how you know the woman is that girl you're dating, in a long uh, distant relationship, is single, really single? Is it there where you know? You have to put your boots on the ground to be able to find out really, and you can run through it. I mean, you can request a formal request to the Filipino government from, of course, if you are, and meet the person in person, meet that girl in person. Of course, matchmaking agency helps out with in that process. If in the profile says is a college educated, or the person, the girl in the Philippines case, in the Filipino case, if the girl is going to college or is working at the company, the agency maybe you'll be able to confirm that, to verify effectively that that person is telling the truth. So that's part of the work of the agency, to be able to find out if everything he says on the profile of these girls looking for a Western man, it's true. So because there could be fraud, there could be so many false false information, just to be able to access one of these men, wealthy men who are looking for women and for a wife, for a future wife, not just looking to have a good time, take these women to a bar or have a good time or have a, but seriously they're looking for that special woman. In the dating cases, dating agencies where men are the one who are member and paying thousands of dollars to meet these special women. But in the Chinese event, right, as like I explained before, there was no way to they can verify. I mean, they just these women come, they pay a fee, good fee, to be able to participate, to be able to be there at the hotel, and these men will come free. I mean, for free, of course. They will come and talk to. It's a meetup, as a make it very much like a casual meetup event in Pontiana. From there they are on their own. So in the case of the dating agency, of course, in the Philippines, they have to be able to get results. I mean, for a service in which Western men are paying thousands of dollars for these events, right? These events in which they're, of course, the biography, like I said before. If the woman says, if she says she's 21 years old or 30 years old, it better be true that it's 30 years old. If the woman says that has no child, that has no children, right? That is single with no children, never been married, better be true. So the agency's job is to confirm, to verify those, otherwise they can be sued. It's a legal situation. Of course, there's a contract involved, contracts and conditions and clauses in which both parties, right, the men who wants these services and the agency also, they have to sign a contract, of course, in which they agree that they have to be able to, if the person who they met, right, the men meet, right, at these events doesn't work, they have a second chance with us, another date, another event, a second event, a third event, different event until the customer is satisfied, right? And like I said, like any business, right? It's sad to say something that the client, the customer, is a man who's looking for a wife, right? So is that sounds like a commercial thing? Yes, it is. It's a business. It's a business. It's legitimate. It is a legitimate business, and they have the right to do. I mean, if they don't have other way to meet, women, I mean, in their own home country out there, or they're fed up. They are people with 2 divorces. I mean, going right, and if there's a chance to meet that that third person, a third wife or second wife, why not, right? Of course, after being divorced, because in the Philippines, if you are married once, you can't, the divorce is not allowed. I mean, if you married for life until death those apart, so that's the situation in the Philippines. So good luck for all of you. I mean, when I say good luck, I'm trying to say that hopefully wishing my best if you try even dating agencies in the Philippines, or the best. I wish you the best also if you, in the Chinese case, many people travel to China for these events, Western men also. But of course, there is the culture is very similar. It's an Oriental culture, but of course they have the local customs and local laws that applies only to China on the local Filipino, right, law that applies to the Philippines. Not It's not for all. So thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next video. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.